Hello and welcome to another episode on Maritime Radar. Seafarers and all other maritime employees have critical roles to play in achieving a functional marine and blue economy, as they are the foot soldiers that will steer the vessel in line with the blue economy agenda advocated in the various multilateral treaties and superintended by the various international organizations such as the International Maritime Organization, World Health Organization, and the International Labour Organization, amongst others. Therefore, their role is a significant force in facilitating ocean trade across borders and within coastal waters. How to build capacity of the Nigerian maritime workforce, generate employment for our shipping youth, the scarce foreign exchange are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. A functional marine and blue economy must ensure proper training and education of its maritime workforce, the seafarers and other maritime employees, as part of its professional development, and their proper remuneration, welfare, health, and safety in line with international treaties are essential to boost the working morale of the maritime workers in executing their jobs. Adequate training and certification of maritime industry employers will not only meet the Nigerian maritime industry manpower needs, but will also lead to the export of maritime industry manpower to other parts of the global community. To this end, stakeholders suggest the urgent need for the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy to establish an overseas maritime employers department within the ministry to cater for the training and certification needs, and also facilitate the export of maritime industry manpower from Nigeria to other parts of the world, as seen in Philippines. This will not only generate employment for Nigerian teeming youth, but also generate the scarce foreign exchange, and in addition promote the status of Nigeria amongst maritime nations. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
Hard times await Nigerians as the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has set the Nigerian Customs Service exchange rate for goods importation at 1,356 naira per dollar. The exchange rate for duty collection is usually determined by the CBN. Maritime stakeholders woke up to the reality of the increase in exchange rate, which was previously set at 951 naira per dollar as at September 2023. Barrister Michael Ovien, a frontline customs broker, confirmed this in a statement that the CBN has already effected the increased exchange on the trader portal for single-window trade as of Friday morning. With this latest increment, cost of importation is expected to increase, while the cost of goods and services in the market would follow suit. The Central Bank of Nigeria had issued a new circular that removes the previous cap on exchange rates quoted by international money transfer operators (IMTOs). The circular noted that the IMTOs are to quote exchange rates for naira payouts to beneficiaries based on the prevailing market rates at the Nigerian foreign exchange market. Following the retirement of Dr. Magdalene Ajani, Olufemi has officially assumed office as the new Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. The Permanent Secretary also oversees the Federal Ministry of Transportation. While taking over the reins of office from Ajani, Olufemi expressed his commitment to maintaining the momentum of activities supporting the structure of the two ministries, which are currently undergoing approval at the Service Policy and Strategy Office in the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation. Olufemi noted that the biggest room is the room for improvement, urging the management and staff of the two ministries to work hard as a team. The abrupt pullout of three African countries, Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, from the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS) has fragmented the regional bloc, which is the bedrock of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. On a continental scale, maritime stakeholders have said that a fragmented ECOWAS will negatively affect AfTA, which relies on regional blocs to aid the movement of goods and services across the continent without restrictions. A former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration Safety Agency, Timiso Omasayi, said their leaving the ECOWAS bloc is highly unfortunate, noting that the issue of trade and the free movement of goods within the ECOWAS countries might be affected, as these countries would be placing visas on ECOWAS countries for the movement of their goods. The three countries recently announced their exit based on grounds that after 49 years, the bloc no longer pursues the interests of its people, but is influenced by foreign powers. They also criticized ECOWAS over the sanctions imposed on them as part of efforts to reverse the coups in their countries.
If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar, as the shipping industry accelerates its support for the global effort to combat climate change by moving towards decarbonization. Seafarers' voices and actions are key to ensuring a just transition to a zero-carbon future. Seafarers have always played a critical role in helping to protect the health of our ocean and planet, and that role is increasingly important. Every day at sea, they help to enforce the International Maritime Organization's environment-related treaties by implementing rules on garbage, sewage, and air pollution prevention. In this chat with Captain Akanbi Oluwasegun, President, Maritime Professional Forum, he shares on shipping development, capacity building, seafarers' role in ensuring a just transition to a zero-carbon future, their welfare, and more. Stay with us. It's good to have you on the show, Segun.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's start this conversation looking at the seafarers' role in achieving a functional blue economy. And in doing so, what will be your expectations from the new Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy?
Okay, thank you very much. The blue economy, it simply means using the ocean resources to its maximum potentials, harnessing the exploitation, preservation, and making the maximum use of the ocean. Now, if you look at Nigeria's present condition, we have the ocean, but we do not have ferry system. We do not have. If you look at the distance between from Ondo State to Lagos State by water, it's about 45 minutes. But yet, we do not have this transport system in place. Imagine such in place. You would be having people living in Ondo State and working in Lagos. That would decongest Lagos. It would provide employment for people in that axis. It would develop the Ondo State villages, some areas in the Ondo State. And likewise, when you see the ferry system as it is in other countries, you will see people moving their cargoes from Lagos to Port Harcourt by water. You see ferry system, even your cars, you can decide to sail your car to Port Harcourt. You don't have to go by road. So it will decongest the use of the road. People will make use of it. And when you look at the fisheries in some countries like Norway and some other countries, they actually rely on these fisheries as their source of revenue generation. But in Nigeria, how much are we using this fish? We are still importing fish. With our population, imagine us having enough fish to feed the Nigerian population.
And we have special species of fishes.
Exactly. We have all sorts of fishes in our territory. But a lot of people want to go into this industry actually, but security problems. You cannot, look at even the transportation between Ikorodu and Lagos and VI or Apapa. We are having these different boat mishap. So this is not encouraging the people to actually trust the sea transport. So, but if we have security in place, we have proper regulations in place, you will see that a lot of investors will actually go in that direction, and people will have the confidence to trust the water.
But one of the problems I see with this ferry system, aside from security and all that you've mentioned, is also the kind of boats we have. Most of them are outdated, and you see private individuals who are operating in this don't even have the resources to be able to update these boats to what we have today. So that brings me to this question. Looking at all you've said here, what role or what do you think the new ministry should be doing to be able to harness these potentials in our oceans, our waterways, looking at our transport and all that? So what will be your expectations?
Okay, that still takes me back to understanding the potential of what we have. There used to be a time when this Molue system used to run from Oshodi to Agege. These were the means of transport at that time. But gradually, when the government were able to see the potentials of transportation, we start having BRT. So the same thing is applicable to the sea. When the people understand the potentials, investors will come in. So we'll start having modern ferries operating.
So are you saying Niwa and Laswa are not seeing these potentials, or
Okay.
what exactly?
Those are regulators. So government, for example, you could see the transformation in our transport system when the BRT system was introduced. So now there will be a lot of sensitization on the people on being able to trust the means of transportation. That's water transport. There will be a lot of encouragement, because I cannot invest in this business when pirates will actually hijack my vessel. So people do not want to invest a lot of money into it. That's why you are not seeing the modern ferries in place. But as soon as we know that the waterways is secured, you see a lot of people coming into that industry, bringing new boats to operate. So, but for now, people do not want to put much into it, and you can see that what we have in place, yes, the regulations as well will have to improve. We've had a lot of case studies to actually improve our system. So a lot more need to be done on security.
So another area that interests me when you look at seafarers is a human capacity development. So how will you rate the national maritime education development?
Okay, thank you for that question. The Nigerian system as of today, I must be frank with you, we are destroying capacity. We are not building capacity. When you look at the seafarers, most of us, we are self-trained. And being self-trained, the system the government is operating, imagine a system whereby you send yourself to school, you renew your own documentations and everything, but remunerations are very poor. The disparity between you and your foreign counterparts is a lot. You have a system whereby the foreigners earn, for example, you are having a foreigner earning $400 on a daily basis, and you have a Nigerian earning maybe 80,000 naira on a daily basis. That's about 18 million to a ratio of 2.4 million. Look at the gap. Same responsibility, same certification, same requirement, same job scope, same qualification. The only difference is color. So that is destroying the capacity of that same Nigerian. We have a situation whereby our owners, our ship owners, they tend to ridicule the indigenous seafarers, believing much in these foreigners, right? But we have the other countries coming in now, like Saudi Arabia, taking seafarers from Nigeria to work within their coast.
The same seafarers
that you are rejecting, the same seafarers that you are passing derogatory comments on them. Now they are working in Saudi Arabia, earning hard currencies. So when you look at the same thing that happened in the medical line is actually happening in the seafaring line right now. Nigeria is losing, they are losing the seafarers.
Their workforce.
They are losing their workforce. There's a serious, there will be a time that the seafarers they will have shortage of them.
So are you now saying that the training institute, indigenous training, maritime training institutions that we have are not meeting international training standards. That's making most of them to move. Or will you analyze the Seafarer Development Program championed by Nneoma, comparing it with how it is being done in other maritime nations?
Okay. I made a comment some time ago that Nneoma need to scrap this present Seafarers Development Program, the method which they are using at the moment. Nneoma is issuing unlimited OW license, right? And the license you are issuing, you're going outside your own shores to patronize other flag states, to train people to have their other country license. The same license you are issuing. You understand? Nneoma is issuing license, they are issuing authority for the license, right? Okay. And we have unlimited OW license. Okay. Now you are sending people on scholarship
to get
the same license from other country. If you do not trust your own resources, you do not trust your own
license. Does it mean that
license,
they don't trust indigenous maritime institutions, they are training?
It's like, okay, this is what you are issuing, right? They are the issuing authority. Okay. So the trust is not, we should be talking about the trust, not them. Okay. Because this is what they are telling the world, that, okay, these are our products. Okay. And this is what we want you to consume. Okay. Now you are not consuming your own food. You're going outside to consume other people's food.
So how will people trust your own?
Exactly. So the logic or the rationale behind going outside the shores to train seafarers for OW license, I still don't understand it.
Okay, we'll be looking more at that, and we'll also be looking at the core function of Nneoma in maritime and shipping development. But that will be after this short break. Please stay with us. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radio, and I still have with me Captain Akanbi Oluwasegun. Before we went on that break, you were talking about Nneoma's not patronizing their own certifications. So I will also want you to drive home. So how do we resolve that issue? And then what do you think? Will you rate Nneoma on how they fared on their core function, which is shipping development?
Okay, like I said, enough of problems, let's talk solution. Okay. Nneoma is a very powerful agency. If you look at the responsibility, the powers of Nneoma and the scope of what the Nneoma Act actually talks about for Nneoma, it's a lot of responsibility. But all these responsibilities, they have different frameworks in place. But these frameworks are not connected. There is a kind of disconnect between all the systems in Nneoma. For example, the seafarer system, the shipping registration, the labor, every sector in the Nneoma is kind of disconnected. The disconnection in the sense that, okay, for example, Nneoma is issuing license. We all go for COC, Certificate of Competency. If you look back, some years back, Nigeria developed this Nigerian Skill Qualification Framework, which is done by this National Board of Technical Education. Now, why they came up with this framework is because there's a skill gap. Okay. You see graduates not having the skill, and you see artisans having the skill but not having the qualification. So there's a gap. So now, they now look at it that, okay, and what we are talking about as per seafarer, this is skills. We're talking about skills. You're driving ship, right? Okay. It's pure skill. Now, when the MBT, they found that, okay, there's a gap, the skill gap. Okay. So they came up with this framework, which they now decide to, like, okay, irrespective of where you get your training, your experience, your skill, they try to now create a kind of rating. They grade what you have In fact, right now, if you look at the framework, we have the national skill qualification equivalent in the conventional education, up to PhD level. When it comes to seafarer, we do not have this equivalent. Regardless of how much training I have, regardless of how much school competency, skills, everything I have, it does not have a place in the conventional education. That is why you see that even within the master, there's a stereotype on the seafarers, the mariners within the master.
So how do we address this and bridge this gap?
There is something called Sector Skill Council. This Sector Skill Council actually is also embodied in the National Skill Framework. These people are like professionals, pure professionals. Because in the master, we have the accountant, we have different people. Fine. But when you come back to the skill sector, skill council, these guys are pure professionals. They understand what the seafarers required. They understand the curriculum requirements, the profession, what the improvement in the professions. So they can develop a syllabus, occupational standard, which they can now, bring to MBT, like, MBT, this is our occupational standard. At this level, at your OOW, these are what you are meant to know. This is your skill. After 5 years at sea, this is your experience. So now they will grade this experience, they grade your skill, they grade your qualification, and they align it with the conventional education. So then they will stop this issue of thinking seafarers are not educated. Now with the new minister, he has actually done a lot, trying to take samples, listen to various contributions, yes, from different people. Yes.
But has he engaged you?
No. But at least some of my my bosses have been engaged. But when you look at,
but I would think this is one of this coordination you mentioned is one of the things that should be brought to the fore.
What the problem is, they are not talking to seafarers. They are not talking to seafarers. If Nneoma would organize an event right now, the people you will see there could be past seafarers, or could be the NSDP trying to get into seafaring.
And they are not speaking
you cannot tell the seafarer story. You need to be there. If you leave seafaring for 30 minutes, you are not updated. There are some informations that can only be given by the people who are right there. You understand? So the problem still come back to seafarers need a base where coordinations, where these are the people that will develop our syllabus, that will develop our occupational standards, that will develop our etiquettes, our code of conduct. So when this is done, the master will have some relief. We are the human interface. We are the one going to see. We know our problem. During the time of the Bibisola Saraki, as the Minister of State for Transport, she called the town hall meeting, where we have the time to engage. You
mean with core seafarers?
Seafarers, the ship owners, the MPA, the stakeholders, everybody.
Wow, good.
We all sat down, and there was a very good interaction. So at this time,
what was done with that interaction? It just ended there?
Few days after this interaction, she was moved to another ministry.
And the whole conversation
now
ended.
The next minister come with a different agenda. So there's no continuity.
On this show, I'll keep speaking on this, keep speaking on issues as I always be. But before I let you go, I want you to talk through seafarers' voices or actions and how it is key to ensuring a just transition to a zero carbon future, because that is key in driving our green shipping.
So the area where it concerns the seafarer, like I would also relate it again to blue economy. If you look at other countries that have actually started working, if you want to achieve zero carbon in 2050, you need to start now. If you are still buying ships, or you are still having ships that are running on the regular fuel, it means we are not ready, because the lifespan of that ship is about 30 years.
Yes.
So it will still take us into
I was
the
even thinking
2050.
25.
We have ship of 40 years. Depends on the quality of the build. But at least let's put it on the average. Ships are running up to 30 years. Now, if we have to meet up with 2050, by now we should already start talking about having shore powers. In the ports, in some countries, you do not run your own generator. You have power supply where you connect to shore power. This will give you, it will generate revenue for whoever that is putting that in place. There are, if you go to the Nigerian waters right now, in fact, the amount of air pollution we have in place. So how are we, the master as a body, because part of their responsibility is to prevent pollution, right? If you look at our coastal, if you come to our ports, you see a lot of pollution in there. So how are we doing all this? How are we taking care of all this before we start talking about air pollution? That's part of the annexes of the MAPO. So NEMASA or the ministry as a whole need to start, like this CVFF fund now that will be released, they should make sure that this fund is actually putting into consideration the kind of vessel that will meet up, that will meet up with the 2050 requirements. In fact, from 2030, so we should start thinking about it. And training in schools, we need to start training the incoming seafarers to understand that, okay, this is a kind of is a transformation. It's of the previous means. A lot of things are coming into places. So let this training, let them have them in the syllabus of the schools.
Yes, and they should also make provision for even old seafarers. There should be opportunity for retraining,
definitely,
so that they're able to cope with the current reality.
Like I said, the seafaring is nothing is static. Everything moves. The license you have yesterday, tomorrow in the new regulation will come up and we'll go back to class. So that is why our documents expires. So we see different modifications, and so that has been put in place, and that is why we need them to know that, okay, the money we are spending on education, on training is a lot. So the owners should not see, when they pay you millions, they should not see that billions is for you to go home and eat. No, you are using it to actually update or upgrade yourself for these new various developments in the industry. So all these things need to be factored in.
I must thank you most kindly for your time. I know the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, driving shipping development is one of the areas that is key to his heart. And if we must drive Nigerian shipping industry, it is imperative that we listen to seafarers, and I hope that he will do that soon. It's been Captain Akanbi Oluwasegun. He's the President, Maritime Professional Forum. Thank you for your time on the program as we keep talking about seafarers and the core functions that you do to drive the shipping industry. Thank you once again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your thoughts. And that's our show this week. I hope you learned a lot about seafarers and their role in the maritime industry. Join us every week on Maritime Radar as we explore potentials that will ensure the development of the maritime sector in Africa. You can also explore the latest in global and local maritime news, plus industry insights right here. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Many thanks for your time, and see you again next week.